Hello. Am I good? How are you guys doing tonight? Glad you could join us for the Lodge Live Sunday night. Underrated week 3. We are so glad you decided to join us. There's some fun stuff coming up and down the pike as we get closer and closer to maybe actually being able to meet together in person down the road. And we cannot wait because we have missed you so much. And we know that you have missed coming to the Lodge. And we cannot wait to meet again in person someday soon, hopefully. But before we do that, we're live streaming, and we ask that you would join us in worship tonight with NGen. Even though it's not the same as being here, worship together at home. Text your friends at this time to let them know to tune in the live stream with you. Let them know that we're going to be going over underrated week 3, and don't forget all of the fun stuff that we have lined up this week. We have our campfire groups on Zoom, high school and middle school boys on Monday nights, Tuesday nights is high school girls, and Wednesday nights is middle school girls. And Thursday nights, we have Zoom game nights for the Lodge. Once again, check those details out. If you don't have any of that information, you can DM us. Let us know that you need information on that. Or you can check out Facebook and the Lodge Student Ministry page on Facebook. It has all the information of what lobby to join and how to get into those Zoom calls and how you can be a part of what is going on here. With that, all that being said, here's NGen with some awesome worship.
I was at a loss until you found me. You gave me a home within your love. I was running blind until you showed me that life could be this good. I want all my friends to know about you. No matter what it takes, I'll never stop. Everything I am is for your glory. My life's forever yours. I found wild love, can't control it. Hit me like a wildfire, set me in motion. Nothing else compares, losing all my cares. Now that I found wild love, wild love. Nothing else compares, losing all my cares. Now that I found wild love, wild love. Now I'm running far within your freedom. I don't even care what they would say. Living in your presence is the reason I'll never be the same. I want all my friends to know about you. No matter what it takes, I'll never stop. Everything I am is for your glory. My life's forever yours. I found wild love, can't control it. Hit me like a wildfire, set me in motion. Nothing else compares, losing all my cares. Now that I found wild love, wild love.
Hey, how are you guys doing? So glad that you could join us on the Lodge Live. Hey, Pastor Cody here, and I just want to tell you something. A couple days ago, I don't know if you guys have been keeping track of this, but Pastor Cyle and I have had Pastor Cyle and Cody Radio that we have been doing since this all started. And I think we're on day 49 today. And I think it was day, 46, Pastor Cyle? Was it 46 or 47? That we got Carver really good with the water bottle trick. I don't know if you guys have seen this where you show them, like, you see, like, look in the bottom of the water bottle, you know, and then they look in the bottom of the water bottle, and it's like, oh, right in their face. We got Carver real good, like real good. And today, Carver had the last laugh. So take a look.
Over. Hey, church, it's day 49, and we are outside being refreshed with each other. My neighbors are all burning leaves, so we got the leaf burning stuff ready, and I know that in your township you can't, but in my township we can, so sorry about that.
That's why I came out here.
Yeah, so that's what we're doing. It's beautiful. Like, we've been freezing in the church. Like, we've not been heating the church, so it's been cold, and we've, like, teeth been chattering, so these last few days we've been outside doing videos, trying to bring hope into your life, make you laugh a little bit, make you smile a little bit, and be a refreshment for each other, which was what the message was about today. So we believe we can do that for each other. And today,
it's so refreshing.
So refreshing.
It's so refreshing because it is such a beautiful day.
It's such a beautiful day.
It's just gorgeous. Back. Whoa!
Over.
Hey!
Well, as you can see, Carver definitely had the last laugh, don't you think? For those of you watching on Instagram and TikTok, you're just gonna have to check it out on Facebook. If you don't have Facebook, you're missing out. So, yeah, as you can tell, Carver got the last laugh, a little bit of super soaker action. But today I wanted to dive into underrated week 3. You guys have been tuning in with us every week, week 1, week 2, and week 3. And this is the final week of underrated. Last week, you got to hear from Pastor Cyle about what it means to not underrate your faith and to take your faith seriously. And so today, I want to talk to you about something very special. There is a verse in 1 Timothy 4 that we have been focusing on this whole time, and we're going to pull it up on the screen here so you can see it. 1 Timothy 4:12, and it's this: don't let anyone look down on you because you are young, but set an example for the believers in speech, in conduct, in love, in faith, and in purity. And if you understand, I just want to set the background for you a little bit. Paul, who wrote most of the New Testament, who was kind of a Bible superstar, if you will. Paul was writing to Timothy, who was a teenager who had to take over a church and run a church all by himself. So Paul was talking to Timothy in such a way that Paul was instructing him on how to do things better. So not just live and exist, but how to lead a church as a teenager, right? And so there's some crazy things that happen. And he says, don't let anyone look down on you because you're young, but set an example for all believers in speech, in conduct, in love, in faith, and in purity. And that is super important. And today, week 3, I want to focus on something that I think is so important in this story of Paul and Timothy. And it's this, that Paul and Timothy were different. Because Paul was an adult and Timothy was a teenager. And here's the truth. Adults and teenagers are different. Done. And I'm done. That's it. That's the whole sermon. I'm finished. Good job. Thanks so much for No, I'm not. Okay. All right. So that seems really obvious, right? To some of you who are watching, you're like, this doesn't make any sense. Adults and teenagers are different? Of course they are. Yes, adults and teenagers are different, right? you have different things that you're into than your parents. You have different things that you're into than even, your small group leaders, your campfire group leaders, right? There are adults in your life that you know that you have some things in common with, but for the most part, they have some completely different things they talk about and think about. They talk about taxes, and they talk about car payments, and they like IRS stuff and bills and like adulting stuff. You could tell like I'm a fake adult because I'm not like actually naming anything. But the truth of all of this is adults and teenagers are different, and the things that they are focused on are much different. And here's the problem with that. Sometimes you as teenagers, when you talk to adults, and I did the same thing when I was a teen, is we don't always believe that adults know what's best for us. Because how in the world could somebody who doesn't know what I'm going through and understand my struggle and what I'm all about, how in the world could they help me figure out life? How's an adult who doesn't know what it's like they don't know what it's like for me to be in high school and like to deal with all these insecurities and all these things that my friends, all these insecurities I have because my friends and my friend group, they don't know how hard it is right now to have my prom taken away and my graduation taken away and my senior walk, how in the world, or the end of my school year when all these things, they don't know how it feels to have my track season or my soccer season taken away. They don't understand. In this time in my life, adults don't get it. They're so worried about all this other stuff. They don't understand how difficult it is to be me. But here's something I want to challenge you with. When you don't believe the best in someone else, you create distance between you and them. It's just the truth. When you don't believe the best in someone else, you create distance between you and them. Here at Heart of the Lakes and for the Lodge Student Ministry, we have a culture of honor that we live by, that your leaders live by, that I live by, that our pastors and our elders, that we live by, because we believe that honoring other people is the most important thing that you could do. So when you don't believe in the best in somebody else, that fits right into our culture of honor, because it is believe the best about others. It's assume the best, right? So we have an acronym. It's CARE, right? So it's care about what the people you care about, right? It's simple. That means when you love somebody, you should care about the things that are important to them. Assume the best means that when somebody comes to you, you should always believe that they have the best of intentions, right? Restore gently. That means when there's something, the conflict that's happened, that you're supposed to restore the person who has fallen or has done something wrong. Restore them gently. Don't be rude. Don't throw it in their face that they messed up. Restore them gently. Release bitterness, right? That means that the bitterness that you carry, the frustration that you have against other people, you need to release that. And the last one is this: you might be right, but is it loving? Is what you're saying loving? Is it kind? Is it going to be received in a way that is good to the person who is hearing it? Or is it a way in such a way that they're going to take it and be hurt and offended or wrecked? And that's important, because you could be right all day, but it doesn't make you loving. And that culture of honor is what we live by. And the reason that this is important, and the reason that this fits into our underrated series, is because you have so many adults speaking into your life already. That is the truth. You have a ton of people in your life who are trying to tell you what you need to do. Right? And it's hard to listen to people when you feel like they don't understand what you're dealing with. Like, like I just got broken up with. Oh my gosh, this is terrible. Like, you don't know what this feels like. You're married, you have kids, right? And it's hard because you feel like adults aren't on the same level, right? It's hard to listen to people when you feel like they don't understand what you're dealing with. That's just the truth. And it can be really difficult because adults especially can have this tone of like, well, you'll be fine. It'll be fine. Get over it. It's fine. And you're like, you just don't understand. What I'm dealing with right now is the most terrible, awful thing. Here's the truth about adults. The reason that adults talk like that is because at some point they were probably in your shoes in the same place you are. And guess what? They're fine now. That's why they're talking to you like that. When adults say things like that, it's like, oh man, they just don't know what I'm dealing with, and they don't understand, they don't love me, like, oh, this is so terrible. Like, but the truth is, the reason that they're talking to you like that is because they see past your struggle. It can be really hard because as a teenager, when you're working with adults and you have all these adults who think that they can tell you what to do and want to pour into your life and want to make your life better long term, it can be really difficult because you can just want to they don't know what they're talking about. We're done. I don't want to talk to them anymore. They're stupid. They don't know anything, and be finished completely. I don't want to have them in my life. I don't want to listen to them, so on and so forth. But what if they could serve a purpose in your life? What if they could actually serve a purpose in your life? What if the older people, the people who are in your life, who are trying to tell you what to do, who are trying to give you good advice, who are trying to help you and spur you along, what if those people really could serve a purpose in your life? I'm going to put Pastor Cyle on the spot. Pastor Cyle, can you come up here? I need you up here for my sermon. He's going to make his way up here. And I got to put him on the spot. He doesn't know I was going to do this. This is pre-planned for me. But the older people in our life, especially, get your walker. Come on, make it up here. It's okay. He's got double hip replacement, 2 titanium knees. It's the whole thing. Hey, can you see me from here? Just kidding. He's not that old. He's actually less than 10 years older than me. But I want to bring Cyle up here because I want to talk about this real quick. And I want to read this verse to you. I want to read this verse to you from 1 Timothy 5, okay? 1 Timothy 5 is this. Never speak harshly to an older man, but appeal to him respectfully as you would to your own father. So I'm sorry about the Walker comment. I shouldn't have said that. That's on me. It's I set that up, right? Talk to younger men as you would your own brother. Next is this. Treat older women as you would your mother, right? Now, some of you don't treat your mama right, and that's not good. So maybe treat older women better than you would treat your mother, but treat older women as you would treat your mother, and treat younger women with all purity as you would treat your own sister. Here's the truth of this, and I will tell you this. Pastor Cyle taught me this when I was just 15 years old, right? The way that we treat others, younger and older, matters. The way that we treat others, younger and older, it matters. And I wanted to bring you up here because this is so important. As a 15-year-old that was in high school and was playing all these sports and trying to figure out life and trying to date all these girls and like be all super cool, you were somebody who was older in my life who poured into me. And so I wanted to take a second. I want to ask you a question, okay? What are some of the things as an older person to a younger person that you want students to know about our wisdom as older people?
I can't touch it because of social distancing. So obey the rules, for one. No, I think one of the good things is have someone in your life that cares about you. Like, that's why we have the culture of honor. We, as people who love Jesus Christ, are called to be there for each other, to encourage each other, and to really walk through life together. Like, I always tell Cody that we're not friends. So, because ultimately I'm his mentor and I help him and I equip him and teach him and push him and I say the hard things to him. You need to have somebody like that in your life, and it really can't be your parents because you have a different relationship with your parents, and you should. But you need someone in your life who is basically Obi-Wan to Anakin, who is Dumbledore to Harry Potter. You need that older mentor.
Wait, time out. Did you just call me Anakin? That's the best compliment you've ever given me, actually.
I thought that was a perfect example. Yeah. Anakin. For all those nerds out there, they would get it. So it's all through Darth Vader. But you need someone who's going to pour in your life and say hard things to you, and that's why you have your group leaders, your campfire group leaders. Like, those are the people who you should be able to rely on in the difficult times when, you got parents that are there for you, but maybe you need that extra voice that your parents will come back and say, "I've been telling you that forever." But sometimes we don't hear our parents like we should. But you'll hear that person who you've chosen to place as a mentor into your life. And so go find your mentor. Maybe it's your campfire leader. Maybe it's your pastor here. Maybe it's some other person in your life who's an adult who not only loves the Lord, but is a person who respects others and lives life right. And you need to find a mentor in your life that can help you, because that's the best advice I can give you. And then let them say hard things and know that you allow them to, and they're going to.
Okay, so this is my next question is I think is important. Okay, did you pursue mentorship of me, or did I pursue you as a mentee? That's a question I want you to answer, because I think it's important for them to understand the dynamic here, that in many ways people aren't going to track you down.
Right. You should always pursue mentorship yourself. I'm always willing to mentor people, but I'm not willing to hold people's hands and drag them along the road. Like, you have to be willing to, as my cell phone continues to ring, sorry, TikTok fans. So it's interrupting your feed. But ultimately, you have to be willing to go find that person, ask them to be in your life. And mentorship is a great thing, but it's on you. It's not on some other person to beg you to let them help you. It's for you saying, I need an extra hand up, and I want your advice in life to help me get to where I want to go.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Kyle. I appreciate that. Give him a big round of applause. Thanks, Pastor Kyle. That is the senior pastor of our church, if you're watching or tuning in. And he has been my mentor for over, oh my goodness, a lot of years now. How many years? It was when I was 13, right? So I'll be 30 in a month. That's crazy. So almost 17 years. Almost 17 years. Way to do that. What did you just do? You just flipped this camera. Also, the way we treat younger and older matters. It's so important because sometimes we can look at older people like they're disposable, or like their information doesn't matter. And let me say this. Can I say this as a younger person? To how we respond to the older generation. The older generation often is the one that not only funds, but gets behind what we're trying to do. And we need to be respectful of that, because, there are times when older people are going to say things that you don't agree with. But it all began with Timothy's willingness to listen to someone older than him. Okay? It did. Timothy had to be willing to have Paul say things to him that nobody else could or would say. Timothy had to go to Paul and pursue Paul as a mentor. Paul was not going to track down Timothy and have Timothy and beg Timothy to be a mentee. What Timothy was going to do was learn from Paul. You have to have a willing spirit and a willing heart to open yourself up to the fact that you probably don't know everything, right? You don't know everything. The same can be true for us. We can have that willingness. We can decide that we are going to listen to people who are older and wiser than us. Because here's the truth. The Bible tells us over and over and over again that a fool, the word that they use is a fool, an idiot, rejects wise counsel. An idiot rejects wise counsel. An idiot rejects the wisdom of the elders, right? The same can be true for us, though, if we decide that we are willing to listen to people who are older and wiser than us. We can live life abundantly. Here's the truth, though. You don't have to agree with everything someone says to learn from them. That's the truth. There's things that Kyle and I don't always agree on. We don't always agree on what the best Star Wars movie is, right? You don't have to agree with everything someone says to learn from them. I have learned so much in my life from Pastor Kyle and the way that he does things, the example that he lives in his life. But I don't agree with every single thing that he says, and he'll tell you that. It's frustrating to him because sometimes he just wants me to agree with everything, right? Would you agree with that? It'd just be easier that way. Yeah. But I don't always agree with everything. And the truth is, we're not going to agree with people 100%. Your mom and dad, you're not going to agree with 100%. Goodness knows I don't always agree 100% with my mom and dad, but I love them and I honor them, and there is incredible stuff that I can learn from them. Here's a great way to look at this. I think that adults can be a valuable resource that you can learn from. I do. Adults, just look at them like this. Adults equal valuable resource you can learn from. But you have to be willing to listen, and you have to be willing to learn. So here's some things that you can do practically in your life. Here's some things that you can begin to do practically to utilize adults in your life. People are now. Let me clarify this. If you're a senior in high school, okay, your 19-year-old friend is not an elder. Okay, they're a peer, right? Your 19-year-old friend who's got a year and a half of college down, or they have a semester and a half. They are not wise counsel. They're not your elders, okay? We're talking about people who have well been through the phases of life that you've been through, okay? So here's how I think you can do this, okay? Ready? Give ownership to someone older. When Pastor Cyle and I decided that we were going to enter into a mentor-mentee relationship, I gave him full access to my life, everything. He could check my phone whenever he wanted. He could check my email. He could check all of my social medias. Whenever he wanted, full access to me in my life. But I also got full access to all of his resources, his wisdom, his knowledge, and his availability. Now, the moment that I would begin to abuse that, Pastor Kyle's resources, influence, wisdom were taken away because Cyle knew that it was important for me to utilize him in the right ways and not abuse that relationship. You want to give just as much as you get. You can't just be a taker all the time. Take. That's not healthy for your relationship either. You need to be able to give back. And so giving ownership to someone older is the first step in your journey to having wise counsel and making better decisions. Do you know how much heartache older people could save you from if you just listen to them? I know, because I listen to older people and I watch my friends go through terrible, terrible trials that I avoided because I had listened. But that's our final question for tonight is, will you listen? Will you listen? I mean, we could talk about how your faith is super important and how wise counsel is vital and how you need to spend a lot of time picking and choosing and making sure that you honor the older people in your life who are so valuable. But at the end of the day, if you don't listen, then what good is that going to do? I cannot tell you how many students I have seen accept wise counsel and then reject everything that they tell them to do and end up ruining their lives over and over and over. It's like a ship without a sail or without a rudder or without an anchor. They just crash into the cliffside over and over and over again. They just crash into rocky crag after rocky crag. They just crash into thing after thing after thing, because they don't listen. Having adults and people who are in a position where they're allowed to speak into your life and rejecting what they have to say is like looking in the mirror and then turning away and forgetting what your face looks like. In fact, the Bible tells us exactly that a man that hears wise counsel and rejects it is no different than a man who looks into the mirror and turns away, forgetting what he looked like, because it is so foolish for us not to listen to the counsel of people who know what to do. It's like... Let's say in school that they released the most important test of the year. They released it to 3 people ahead of time. And they told those 3 people, listen, you can tell whoever you want to about this test and everything that it entails. We're going to give it to you 3 months ahead of time. You can study, you could take it, you can make sure you can tell whoever you want for 3 months ahead of time. Would you not benefit by talking to that person about what's going to be on that test? Of course you would. It's crazy. Yeah, I know it's a crazy example, but it's crazy because no one would ever do that. And it's crazy because if they did, you would be a lunatic if you didn't listen to what those people had to say about what was coming up on the test. The same is true about the older adults in your life, the older people in your life who are trying to pour into you, who are trying to help you make better decisions. You would be foolish to think that you know better. You just would, because you don't. I didn't. They didn't. The generations before them didn't. none of us knew better. But those of us that listened to the counsel of the people who were older than us and were wiser than us and who were trying to help us, those of us who decided that we were going to take those people's advice and listen to it and apply it to our lives, we avoided all the potholes. We avoided all the stress. We avoided all the strain. We avoided all the carnage that could have been our lives had we rejected it. Don't let pride, listen to me, don't let pride keep you today from being in a right relationship with somebody who will help you make the best decisions for you and your faith. And this is important because it's on the faith aspect. Like, I could have picked anybody that was older than me to counsel me and to give me good advice. But I picked Cyle very specifically because Cyle was a man of God who loved the Lord. And Cyle was the kind of man that I wanted to be when I grew up. He was the kind of pastor, he was the kind of father, he was the kind of husband. I wanted to be like that because Cyle was a godly example of how to live. And today is his 4-year anniversary here at our church. And I know that there are people out there in our congregation, and I know some of you who feel the exact same way. Make sure that you text Pastor Cyle, you DM him on Instagram, you send him messages on TikTok, and congratulate him for 4 years of service here at Heart of the Lakes Church. Thank him so much for everything that he does to pour into our church, to our church family. Remind him of how appreciative you are of what he does and how he does it. And remember today that you can have people who have wise counsel just like I have. And remind yourself today that you can have people in your life who love you and love the Lord and want to do everything in their power to help you love Jesus better. Let's pray. God, thanks so much for today. Thank you for everything that you do for us. God, give us a heart that is open, that is humble, that is willing to listen when it comes to the people in our life. And God, also give us discernment so that we pick the right people to pour in to our life. And God, we ask all these things in your name. Amen. Now join us in worship.
I don't wanna be on my phone, but I can't be alone. Welcome to the modern way. Trying to be somebody I'm not, but it's not what I want. Well, tell me there's another way. All of the lights I chased are now fading. All the cheap thrills were only time wasted. Tell me why society's plan should define who I am. Well, surely there's a higher way. All of my best friends are sick of pretending. We want the truth. We want it. So much is missing. So give us the real thing. I know it's you. Na 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 na. I don't want a stereotype to decide who I am. They never knew me anyway. I'm over trying to find the next high, cause the high never lasts. I'ma go another way. All of the lights I chased are now fading. Dylan was right, the times they are changing. Tell me why society's plan should define who I am.